Alrighty, we're gonna, whoops, I bet you I just knocked you out of frame, didn't I? Nope, I did not. Alright, hi. Alright, Ag Science students. I'm getting ready to upload your assignment that'll be due on April the 27th. You'll be getting this set of notes for balancing rations. Now, we've talked about what a ration is. It's what an animal eats at mealtime. Here's your terms. Terms will be explained. Some of these terms you've seen. We know what a ration is. We know what a feedstuff is. Feeding standards are what should the nutrient value be for the feed that we're feeding to the animal. We've got what a feed analysis is when we take a feed, what's in it, the dry matter, the protein, the fat, the ash. Did you know that when we take a sample of feed and we burn it down to the ash, there should be an ash content for the absolute stuff the animal can't process? Then we also talk about the crude fiber, nitrogen-free, minerals. When we talk about feeds, probably one of the most critical ones is the protein content. And to figure the crude protein content, what scientists do is they figure out how much nitrogen is in the feed, and then they multiply it by a conversion factor, because nitrogen is the building block of amino acids, which become proteins. Go figure. All right. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be asking you to figure out a feeding ration using this Pearson Square method. Now, let me go ahead and continue. You're also going to have your test. Now, this is open notes, comes right out of the notes. You can take a picture of this. You can scan this in. You can bring the paper copy back and stick it in the box in front of the school if you want. Or you can just send me an email or put it in Google Docs and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and give me the letters that go with it. Whatever works for you. Right now, my classes are doing a variety of different things to get me the work back. And as long as you get it back, I'm good with it. Though I'm thinking next year I'm going to be using Google Classroom quite a bit more than now. All right. The third part of this test is using the Pearson Square to figure out a ration for pigs. Now, the Pearson Square doesn't matter what the animal is. As long as you put the numbers in correctly, you'll get it. The other things I'm going to include are the feed tag. In this case, this is feed analysis for fry fish feed. Down in the south, they raise catfish in ponds, and they have to feed them. And so when they buy the feed, this is it. Number one thing on a feed analysis: crude protein, crude fat, crude fiber. You got dogs and cats around the house that you buy food for, go find the food bag. I know on my cat Buddy's bag, it's a little bag about that high and about that wide. It's under the flap on the side. So look around, find the feed tag, look at the analysis, see what's in your animal's food. You might be surprised. Then there's an example of the nutrient content of selected feedstuffs. And then what do animals need at different stages of their life, if they're weaned or pregnant or lactating or whatever. Then I'm going to give you this example on how to do the Pearson Square. Now, it looks complicated. Really, it's not complicated. And I'm about to work through an example here right now. All right, let's say that, and I know several of you have horses, but I know Peyton's got a horse somewhere. So let's just talk horses for a minute. Let's say, let me get my handy dandy marker out here so you can actually see this. Let's say that Peyton has a horse. All right, and Peyton, your horse, doesn't work all the time. You do ride it once in a while, and let's say he's not lazy, but he's not working hard all day, so let's call it a little medium type activity level. and that your horse needs a protein content of, say, 10%. And let's also say that at your house you've got some alfalfa and also you've got some corn. Let's say that you know a guy across the border. He's got a couple of cornfields. He sells it to the big feedlot over there or some of the dairies, and he lets you have a couple of truckloads once in a while when he's got a little extra. All right. All we need to do for the Pearson Square is we need to draw a square. Now, in the instructions, it'll tell you to draw a square 2 or 3 inches. I'm just using a sheet of paper, and then out on each corner, we're going to put some wings on each corner, and then we're going to put a line in the middle. The line in the middle is for what you want your protein content of your food to be, 10% in this case. And let's say that up here we're going to do alfalfa, and down here we're going to do the corn. And we know that alfalfa runs around 20%, especially if it's that first or second cut of the year, and you're getting it just after it started blooming, but before more than half of the field is blooming. So kind of what we call mid-bloom. About 20% protein level. Corn runs around 9% protein level, depending on the variety of the corn. Around here we're going to say about 9%. All right, to do the Pearson Square, we're going to figure out how much alfalfa, how many parts alfalfa, and how many parts of corn we're going to need. It's really simple. We're going to do a mathematical subtraction problem going crosswise. And it doesn't matter which way you go. You can't have a negative number. So whatever the big number is, we're going to subtract the small number. 10 minus 9, we're going to get 1. Come on, 1. 20 minus 10, we're going to get 10. So, in this case, we're going to have 10 parts of corn and 1 part of alfalfa. That's it. If you can get this far, I'll give you credit, because it does get a little bit more complicated, but it's not that bad. It does involve a little bit of math. So what we have to do is we have to take the 1 part plus the 10 parts. We get 11 parts total. Now, this parts, this could be pounds, could be ounces, could be grams, could be handfuls, could be coffee cans. Get the picture? Parts is parts. As long as they are equal parts, you can do this to mix a feed ration for your animals at home. Doesn't matter what the parts are. But what they want you to do, so now we've already worked these top parts and we've figured out this part right here, this step 5. So now all they want us to do is we're going to take, oh my gosh, can you handle this? 1 divided by 11 and 10 divided by 11 to figure out the percentage of each food. Let me get my handy dandy calculator from behind me, because I wasn't planning on doing this. 1 divided by 11, God, don't you miss those bells? This is 9%, and 10 divided by 11 should be about 90.9 or 91%. So what you've done here is your food is going to be 9% alfalfa, hay, and it's going to be 91% corn. So this is going to be a heavy grain ration, but it's going to have some fiber in it. We're trying to get the protein level up, but get enough fiber in there so that we're not, hurting the horse. And then this last part is, if you have, for a large batch, and if a batch is 1 ton, what would you have to do? Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you can get to this part here, part number 5, which on your test which on your test would be once you've figured out all of the feedstuffs using the Pearson Square for, they've got corn and cottonseed meal. If you can get it to this point, I will accept it. What they want you to do is if you're at a feedlot and you get a ton of corn and a ton of hay, well, in this case, 91% of it, let's just say 1,000 pounds. This is 910 pounds of corn to every 910 to, what is it, 89 pounds of hay. Something like that. Yeah. For 1,000 pounds? Yeah. Or for every 100 pounds, 91 pounds of corn to every 9 pounds of hay. It's a heavy grain, low fiber diet if you're doing it this way. Alright? The thing is, if you're feeding mostly hay, that's this, what we're trying to do is take something that's high in protein, something that's low in protein, get them together so that we're hitting a desired number that we want. Do they sound a little out of whack? Yeah, but we're still going to get to here if we mix it with the proportions. Or if you're doing this at home, this could be 90 cans of corn to 9 cans of hay. Or if you're using 5-gallon buckets or whatever it is. As long as you keep the proportions right, you can do this and mix it all together. One thing though, of course, and all of you know this that have animals, don't ever switch an animal's feed all at once. That is a sure way to get them to lock up and have a big bloat on you. Especially your ruminant or semi-ruminant animals, horses, cows, sheep, goats, those kinds of things. Pigs can still have a tummy ache if you switch their feed all at once, but especially your ruminant animals, you want to make sure and switch any feed slowly. But this is how you do the Pearson Square. And if you get really stuck, send me a note and I'll walk through it again. But this is it right here. We start with what we have, we set up the square, we find our parts, we add those parts together to get a total. In this case it was 11, and then we find out what part of this is what percentage of each one of those two elements that we have. You guys, I miss having you in class, and like I said, everybody in this class except for 2 people have been turning their stuff in, so keep it up. I appreciate you. We'll get through this together, and hopefully we'll all be able to go around this summer and get out and get some sun. Talk to you later.